Welcome back. This is Laura with Stuff I Find Interesting, and this is part 3 of 3. This is the conspiracy portion of Stuff I Find Interesting. I've broken it up into 3 parts so as to make it more digestible. We are going to head into Tartaria. Now, I feel like I really got to have my head on straight for this because this is a very controversial topic. People have very, very strong opinions about this. Like, very strong. Perhaps next time I'll share some of the comments that I found in some of the videos that I watched. People have really strong opinions. So this is an article from Bloomberg, and this is Inside Tartarian Empire, the QAnon of Architecture. On YouTube videos and Reddit boards, adherents of a bizarre conspiracy theory argue that everything you know about the history of architecture is wrong. Tartarian-themed content is produced for YouTube videos that get picked over on Reddit. The Tartarian Architecture sub, which began December 2018, has 3,300 members. I'm a member. Though not everyone who posts and comments appears to be a true believer. I'm just a bystander. There's a larger sub, Tartaria. It has 8,700 members. As far as conspiracy theories go, Tartaria remains obscure. There is a debunking on a podcast called Skeptoid, and it's not related to the adrenochrome harvesting satanic pedophile cabal. Say that 5 times fast. That I do have a problem with. That lies at the heart of QAnon, the unfounded conspiracy theory that crashed into the real world in 2020. Are elites sucking our blood? Absolutely, but in a metaphysical sense, maybe not a literal sense. But there's no overarching narrative or single authorial voice interpreting events. It's just a gusher of outlandish speculation. Adherents can pick and choose which elements they want to sign on to. The overall premise is an alternative history. A vast, technologically advanced Tartarian empire emanating from North Central Asia or thereabouts, either influenced or built vast cities and infrastructure all over the world. Either via a sudden cataclysm or a steady antagonistic decline, perhaps as recently as 100 years ago, Tartaria fell. Its great buildings were buried, and its history was erased. After this great reset, the few surviving examples of Tartarian architecture were falsely recast as the work of contemporary builders who could never have executed buildings of such grace and beauty and subjected them to clumsy alterations. I think that it was one worldwide civilization, says Joachim Scar. It was based on unity, oneness, peace, love, and harmony, which we don't see in today's society. Okay, that's actually where I tap out. That I don't believe in. That's like some kind of utopian daydream. We've never been like that. We're human beings. Like, we've been fighting ever since we became, even before. Like, it's ridiculous. So here we have some examples of what we would call Tartarian architecture. Let me find an example here. Let's pick up this one. Here we have some Art Nouveau. That's probably Barcelona or Spain with some more pictures. This is a real thing. This is not a real thing. But you can go to Pinterest or Tumblr or anything, type in Tartarian architecture, and you can get a lot of buildings that you can kind of look at and chew over and sort of see what it is that they're kind of getting at. So this is the administrative building, World's Fair, and look how fancy it is. It's really fancy. It is easy to see how one might start to lean in this particular direction. But I have to admit, I'm neither sold nor not sold. This is the Reddit. Some of the Reddit commentary that you can look at, because there's always good stuff in the comments, some good discussion. You can learn a lot. You can find links. You can, you just have to be smart when you research stuff like this. You don't want to fall down the rabbit hole too far, right? But you don't want to believe the accepted narrative. You kind of want to find that middle area, in my opinion. So the reset thing is based on the work of Anatoly Fomenko, who said, wait a minute. It's not really the year 2023. There's a bunch of years that are missing, and time has been changed, and history has been changed. It goes way, way deeper than that. This guy's got like pages. I think it's like 600 pages or something. I tried to read it. I was not really able to. Perhaps I'll come back to it. But he says that time is not what we think. And he wrote a thesis called The Decision of the Multidimensional Plateau Problems on the Riemannian Manifolds. Again, going back to sacred geometry. So this is a guy who was obviously obviously brilliant. So again, where there's smoke, there's fire. This is perhaps there's some truth in there. Perhaps there's some truth in there. So let's go over what Tartary was, or Tartary. Tartar? How is that pronounced? Can you guys tell me? I've seen it pronounced like a million different ways. This is Tartary. And it was an actual real kind of location. And by real, I mean it was a catch-all name that we used in the West. We'd say, oh, that's Tartary. And it would be like Mongolia and part of China and Tibet. And we just kind of called it all one thing. And on the maps, that's what it shows up as. It shows up as Tartary. This is another map. This is an old map from 1692, a new NEWE map of Tartary. So is Tartaria an empire hidden by history or revealed by ignorance? During some recent wanderings on the internet, I came across a most particular subreddit, Tartaria. At first, I thought the subreddit was dedicated to some fantasy or steampunk fictional world, but after a couple posts, I realized it was actually all about a conspiracy theory regarding an ancient kingdom, either ignored or purposely hidden by historians. Most of the posts there show European-style buildings in the United States built supposedly with Tartarian technology or speculate over artistic representations of lost technology. When I do that, it's because I'm quoting the article. They're putting stuff in quotes. As a historian, these theories sounded really nonsensical and absurd to me. I couldn't stop wondering what it was all about. So he starts to look into it, and he notices that the Asian and European depictions of like Genghis Khan are like this, and there's different depictions in other parts of the world. And so anyway, he goes into it about how old maps changed, and he goes into it a little bit more. He kind of lost me at some point. Tartaria shows how simple ignorance about other people's culture and history can lead to huge misunderstandings. In Brazil, where I grew up, Asian history and the Russian Revolution are topics barely touched upon, and just because it relates to the bigger European scenario, European history garners the most focus in Western education, giving little attention to African and Asian history. Without studying, I could have just as easily have fallen for it. So this guy is saying, listen, I don't buy this. I think, And then he says, if you think this kind of theory is harmless, just take into consideration the setbacks we are experiencing because there are flat earthers and people who believe the Nazis were left wing. Conspiracy theories like these slow science down, spread disinformation, and support delusional thinking. If anything, it distracts scholars from continuing research to expand our current knowledge by making them have to prove what is already widely known. So, an interesting point of view. I think there's some truth in that too. This goes into the people that lived there. It first appeared among nomadic tribes living in northeastern Mongolia in the area around Lake Baikal, which we've talked about before. These Turkic nomads became part of the armies of the Mongol conqueror Genghis Khan. A fusion of Mongol and Turkic elements took place, and the Mongol invaders of Russia and Hungary became known to the Europeans as Tartars or Tatars. Oh, here's some more information. Their economy was based on farming and herding. They had a tradition of working in wood, ceramics, leather, cloth, and metal. They were known as traders. They worked within the Russian Empire as commercial and political agents, teachers, and administrators of the newly won Central Asian territories. More than 1.5 million Kazan Tartars still live in the Volga and Urals regions, and I have Kazan actually as a topic coming up. And they constitute about half the population within the Republic of Tartarstan. So Tartarstan, one of the stands. They are now known as the Volga Tartars, and they are the wealthiest and most industrially advanced of the Tartar groups. And then it goes on about stuff. So I found this, which was kind of interesting. And, oh, wait, this is not, wait. Where'd it go? No, what happened? Oh, no. I lost it. I had this amazing commentary thing that I saved. Was it this one, maybe? Huh. Here we go. I found it. I found it. Every few months, I like to check back in on the incubation of the Tartaria conspiracy theory on stolen history and the major subreddits. Currently, it has forked into 3 big groups. One that has regressed into Tartaria being a secret global history. And it kind of falls into, this person says, Graham Hancockery, Fomenko New Chronology, and Redditor Tesla idolatry. It involves looking at photos of old buildings, assuming our civilization couldn't have built them, and positing that a far more technologically advanced culture of a giant Turks did it. 2, a belief that Tartaria was the millennial reign of Christ and was overthrown by the Rockefellers and Zionists, leaving us in the post-apocalyptic ruins, which requires 2 big assumptions: that Jesus Christ is the omnipotent God of the universe and came again to unite the world in harmony, and I'll let you read that last part because it's sort of anti-Semitic. 3, a bizarre Afrocentric Mormon mismatch, one that holds that the Tartarians were actually the Moors and the lost tribes of Israel, and the secret white Genghis Khan in America was actually the old world. No idea where the actual continents of Europe, Asia, and Africa fit in, or how this squares with the origins of this fuckery, seeing a big chunk of northeastern Eurasia labeled Tartary on old globes. So that's someone who's kind of gone off on a rant, but I think it sort of encapsulates this. This is a Redditor. This person's name is Shot Engine 4549, and they have some interesting commentary about this and how everything was buried in mud. So this Tartaria relates to mud flood theory. So it talks about how everything has been buried by mud, and that if you look at modern structures, the windows, like walk around Connecticut, New York, Boston, and if you look at the buildings, you'll see that there are some buildings that where the windows look like they're kind of below the street. I don't know. This is where I kind of started to get lost, and I sort of kind of like fade. So I started to kind of like fade out a little bit because this is a lot. This is a lot to take in. This guy is saying this theory stems from disappointment in modern architecture, and he kind of goes off on people that believe this, and he's saying, what the heck? These are some great pictures, though, that I've discovered, and they kind of show this idea that history is buried. Now, here's the thing. History is absolutely buried. History is absolutely covered up. We are absolutely lied to. But I don't know. I haven't formed an opinion. Interestingly, you're going to like this. While I was looking at Tartarian stuff, I found stuff from the Busege Mountains. So these this talks about how there was writing that existed in the Busege Mountains that predates the first known writing of Sumeria. I don't know the facts of it. I didn't go too deep in it, but I thought it was interesting that we're coming back to the Busege Mountains and Tartaria. Like, that's an interesting coincidence, right? I'm sure there's something to look for in there. This is kind of fun. This is a pictures of Tartarian buildings juxtaposed with interesting music like Aphex Twin. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun, and I really enjoyed what this person did. So I'm just going to like and subscribe. Okay, so I just wanted to talk about Turkey real quick before I finish this off, and that is these are some of the locations in Turkey that are near where the earthquake was. I don't know if these areas have survived or not, but there's a lot of super deep history. This is what the the castle, the Gaziantep castle, what it looks like right now. This is what it looked like 2 days ago, and this is what it looks like now. Completely destroyed by the earthquake. Now, I have a point. I'm coming back to Tartaria, but I did want to talk about Turkey. This is Caracas, an ancient city that is in this area. Very important history. Now, let's look at this for a second. Look at the land sliding. It triggered liquefaction. Liquefaction is when the earth vibrates at a certain frequency, hard enough and long enough that the earth literally liquefies and just buries everything, as if you like dipped the houses, like you like pick them up and just drop them into like some liquid mud that wasn't hardened, and then it hardens. So I think there is something to this mud flood thing. I think that things can be destroyed and buried far more easier than we are led to believe by scientists, and that our society is way more fragile than we could possibly understand. So I just wanted to share that there is sort of a connection, and that area of the world is just, I don't know. I'm not a praying person, but I'm definitely praying for the people of Turkey and hoping that they can find everybody. This is the square of the Tartars. Just a random picture that I downloaded that I thought was very beautiful. I believe, yes, this is in Turkey, I believe. That's it. We've come to the end for now. I just wanted to briefly touch upon Tartaria. I didn't go very deep. I just kind of wanted to introduce the idea to you and invite everybody to talk about it in the comments if you want. Let me know what you think. Is it real? Is it not real? What happened? Why did it happen? If things have been changed, why were they changed? I'm leaning towards things changed, but it's more of a metaphysical, cultural, socio-economic shift that feels as though it's a real physical change, but it's not. That's what I'm leaning towards. However, I am always exceptionally open-minded. I pride myself on being that way because I think it's important. It's the only way we can kind of understand each other. And right now, more than ever, we need to understand each other because it's a weird, weird world right now. I hope everybody has a good Tuesday. I hope you've enjoyed this 3-parter. And I will see you soon.